Imagine this. You're a 19-year-old girl singing in a small nightclub in New York City. The audience barely notices you, but one man in the crowd does. He walks straight backstage after your set, looks you in the eyes and says, "You are the greatest voice of your generation." That girl was Whitney Houston. That man was Clive Davis. And today, June 22nd, 2026, Clive Davis is gone. He passed away peacefully at his home in New York City at the age of 94, surrounded by his family. And with him goes one of the most extraordinary ears in the entire history of music. Most people have never heard Clive Davis sing a single note. He wasn't a performer. He never picked up a guitar. He never stood behind a microphone. But there is almost no major artist from the last 60 years whose career he didn't shape, build, or save. Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Bruce Springsteen, Janis Joplin, Alicia Keys, Kelly Clarkson, Carlos Santana, Billy Joel, Patti Smith, the Notorious B.I.G. Pink, TLC, Usher, Earth, Wind and Fire, Aerosmith. The list doesn't end. It just keeps going. So today, let's talk about who Clive Davis really was. Because the world lost more than a music executive this morning. The world lost the last true kingmaker of the record industry. A man who literally built the soundtrack of our lives. Clive Davis was not born into the music business. He wasn't even born into money. He grew up in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, the son of an electrician. He lost both of his parents before he was even a teenager. His father when he was 10, his mother when he was 16. He was raised by his older sister and her husband, and he put himself through school on scholarship money. He went to NYU, then Harvard Law School. He became a lawyer, not a music man, a lawyer. But in 1956, a connection landed him a part-time job at Columbia Records doing legal work. And that's when everything changed. Because Clive Davis walked into Columbia Records, heard music, and something inside him clicked into place. He had an ear, not just for what sounded good, but for what mattered, for what would last. By 1967, at just 35 years old, he was named president of Columbia Records. That's one of the most powerful positions in the entire music industry, and nobody saw it coming. His very first move? He went to the Monterey Pop Festival, and in the crowd, he watched a woman get up on stage and completely destroy it. Her name was Janis Joplin. He signed her on the spot. He didn't ask for a second opinion. He didn't call a committee meeting. He just knew. That was Clive Davis. That was always Clive Davis. After Columbia, Davis founded Arista Records in 1974. And this is where the story gets extraordinary. At Arista, Davis didn't just sign artists. He built them. He had an obsessive, almost surgical attention to the details of a record. The key a song was sung in, the way a chorus landed, whether the bridge had enough emotional weight. He would rewrite lyrics. He would send tracks back. He would sit in the studio for hours arguing about a single line. Artists loved him for it, and some of them hated him for it. But almost all of them admitted he was right. Barry Manilow, Dionne Warwick, Aretha Franklin. All of them came to Arista and hit heights they hadn't reached in years. And then, in 1983, a mutual friend brought a young woman to Davis's attention. She was opening for her mother at a nightclub in New York. Davis went. He sat in the audience. And the moment she opened her mouth, he stopped breathing. She had a voice, an innocence, a power and a beauty that was so stunning. Davis would later say, he signed Whitney Houston immediately. And 2 weeks later, before they had even recorded a single song, he put her on national television. On the Merv Griffin show, he introduced her himself, saying, if there's going to be one performer for the next generation who combined the beauty and lyric phrasing of a Lena Horne with the gospel fiery roots of an Aretha Franklin, it would be Whitney Houston. She was 19 years old. What followed is one of the greatest careers in music history. 7 consecutive #1 singles, more than 200 million records sold worldwide, the greatest debut album by a female artist in history, The Bodyguard, I Will Always Love You. All of it was built under Clive Davis's guidance. He called her the greatest contemporary singer of all time. She called him the most important person in her professional life. Theirs was one of the most powerful partnerships in music history. Here's the thing that separates Clive Davis from every other executive of his generation. He never got comfortable. He never coasted. Most music moguls peak once, maybe twice. Davis did it over and over again, across completely different genres, across 6 full decades. When rock was dominating, he signed Springsteen. When pop balladry was the sound of the moment, he built Barry Manilow into a superstar. When R&B ruled, he had Whitney. When hip-hop exploded, he co-founded Bad Boy Records with a young Sean Puffy Combs and signed the notorious B.I.G. He even admitted he never fully understood rap music, but he understood talent, and he understood the business, and that was enough. Then Carlos Santana, who hadn't had a major hit in years, came to Davis, and together they made Supernatural in 1999. That album sold 30 million copies. It won 9 Grammy Awards. It remains one of the greatest commercial comebacks in music history. Then Rod Stewart. Davis called him up one day and told him to stop recording pop music and go back to the classics. Rod thought he was crazy. Davis insisted. The result? The Great American Songbook series. 4 consecutive #1 albums. One of the most successful late career runs any artist has ever had. Then Kelly Clarkson. Then Carrie Underwood. Then Alicia Keys. Every generation. Every era. Every genre. Clive Davis was there, with that golden ear, finding the one voice you hadn't heard yet. But who was Clive Davis when the music stopped? He was, by all accounts, a deeply loyal man. His annual Grammy party, hosted every year the night before the Grammy Awards, was the most coveted invitation in the entire music industry. More exclusive than the ceremony itself. Artists flew in from around the world just to be in that room. He was a devoted father to 4 children, a close friend to dozens of the most famous people on earth. And in 2013, at the age of 80, he made news in a very different way by coming out publicly as bisexual in his memoir, The Soundtrack of My Life. It was a quietly brave act from a man who had spent his entire career helping other people find their voice. He founded the Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts in 2003. He helped establish the Clive Davis Theater at the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles. His name is literally etched into the buildings where the next generation of music makers are learning their craft. And even at 94, even in his final years, he was still working, still listening, still showing up. Because for Clive Davis, music was never a job. It was a calling. Aretha Franklin called him the greatest record man of all time. Bruce Springsteen's manager said, he was on top in the 1960s. He was still on top 40 years later. I do not think you will ever see that happen again. And I think they were right. Because what Clive Davis did wasn't just about signing the right artists or picking the right songs. It was about belief. He believed in Whitney Houston when she was still a teenager singing in a nightclub. He believed in Springsteen when everyone else just called him the new Bob Dylan. He believed in Aretha even when she doubted herself. That's the real legacy, not the platinum records, not the Grammy nominations, not the Hall of Fame induction. The real legacy is the voices he heard before anyone else did, the careers he built from nothing, the artists he convinced the world to love. Music will keep playing, but there will never be another Clive Davis. Rest in peace.